where our adventure begins. A party comprising 5 heroes, Ronald Hump, Craven, Tosh, Loquacious, and Aunt Bussin. Having met along the winding forest paths and joining forces to hunt down the bandits plaguing the Fairlands, come across an old man riding a wagon led by an old donkey. The old man, calling out, "Are up you fellas need a ride?" introduced himself as Gil, himself living in the village ahead and happy to offer the party transport. Ronald riding alongside, Gil bowing his head. Gil recognized Ronald as important and worthy of respect as his golden armor gleamed like no other but couldn't put a face to a name. Ronald, holding back his offense, declares himself the son and heir of Humpton, the land to which we are situated. Old man Gil, ever so humbled in the presence of such nobility, was gracious and spoke of how happy his grandson would be to be told of his lord's meeting. Gil turning his attention to the others, Craven the Kenku giving the old man side-eye, Bussin the half-orc giving a cheeky wink, Loquacious giving a huff, holding back a trauma dump, and Tosh with his thick northern accent greeted Gil and spoke kind words. Coming up to a narrowing inn along the forest pass, tensions fell on a pin drop. Gil steadied his reins and pushed forwards, Ronald pushing alongside, atop his trusty steed Gold Hoof. Leaving the forest, Gil gave a sign of relief, bringing his old nag to a halt to rest. "Out da forest now, lad. All's well. Now stretch your legs while I take a quick piss." Gil, leaving off to urinate in a bush away from Bussin's prying perverse eyes, went silent. Tosh, noticing the absence of old Gil, looked around as bandits revealed themselves from the tree line. Approaching the party, a bandit coming right up to Ronald. "Oh, looks like we've got ourselves a noble here, and better yet the lordling of Hump Hill himself." Ronald, making no time to make parlance with murderers and thieves, drew his long girthy golden sword.
The bandit, reaching and striking Ronald, made a mighty blow to the noble warrior's chest. Bussin, angered quickly and turning to a rage, leaping forward towards some bandits up a slope, tore at the shrubbery. Craven, seeing his ally injured, casts a spell of healing on Ronald with a flick of his magic crow staff and turning on a spin to shoot another with a crackling eldritch blast, hitting the bandit's shoulder plate, falling off and dissolving to dust. A bandit up the slope, so terrified of this steaming furious half-orc, aims his bow, but misses in the fear overcoming, the arrow bouncing around and coming back squarely into the bandit's foot. The bandit giving out a cry of pain. Another bandit beside Ronald makes a strike, but it bounces off his armor, leaving up a minor scratch. Loquacious, grabbing his thick hard club, began to swing it around with such artistic finesse, readying his attack. Running up to a bandit and striking him on the head. Only but dazing the poor sod. The bandit in a daze swings and misses an attack on Loquacious. Another bandit makes an attack on Tosh, but bouncing off as Tosh guards with his shield. Seeing his friend beside him make such a pathetic failing shot, attempts to do what his comrade could not. Sighting down the raging Bussin, he looses his arrow and hits him up the shoulder. Ronald, angered by the bandit's attacks, makes a swing at the first bandit who dared to lay arms against him, bringing his longsword down on the bandit's side, winding him. Tosh, not to be outdone, makes a swing of his own, gripping his own long weapon and making a blow of a bandit. Also winding the bandit, he takes the opportunity to rub his hands together. The static, generating with the powers of mana and gods behind him, thrusts his fist forward, blasting the bandit back and into the rocky slope face behind.
Red Bozo!
A bandit making another strike is skillfully deflected by Ronald. Bussin, done with ruining foliage, charges the poor bandit with an arrow in his foot and cleaves his head clean off with his mighty axe. Bussin, truly in a roid-fueled rage, foaming at the mouth. Craven turns his attention again towards Ronald and his solo with the bandits, tries to blast one away with his eldritch attack but misses just shy of Ronald's handsome face. The bandit, unfazed, strikes Ronald but does little damage. Loquacious tries to strike the bandit before him but misses. The bandit, unimpressed, shakes his finger, making a cheeky smile. The bandit, still but dazed, however, tries his luck but misses another attack, Loquacious paying back the gesture in kind. The bandit beside his now decapitated loses his nerve and flees from the spastic squidwank. Bussin, swinging but missing as he escapes down the slope. The bandit, foul-footed, slips over his 2 left feet and falls face first onto the dirt. Ronald rattled from the magic passing in front of his face, and the ceaseless attacks misses his own swing on a bandit. Tosh, seeing Ronald distressed, rushes over, reading an attack, but in sympathy with the bandit behind him, trips over his large trunk-like legs and falls flat forward.
The bandits, noticing Tosh's epic fail, arse up, head down, makes an attack, but misses as he is overcome by the mighty pale buttocks pointing upwards. Bussin, seeing the bandit below, weak and defenseless, leaps from the slope, landing square on the injured bandit with a devastating crash. Bussin, stepping off, turns and brings his axe down on the bandit's legs, with a snap and crunch of his bones. Craven, looking to aid Loquacious, slips behind the donkey, trying not to look at its huge swinging donkey balls, and turns towards the bandit. Craven summons the power of his mighty idol, and with a well-placed rip of a dark blast tears the bandit in half, the remains smoldering from the twisting flames. The other bandit beside Tosh and Ronald takes his chance to smash that fat baddie, placing a whopping hit along Tosh's tush. Loquacious sees the dying bandit on the ground, discarding his club and taking out his sling, shoots the poor soul right between the eyes, putting him out his misery. Ronald, feeling left out of the action, strikes a bandit, drawing its attention back to him. Tosh, tired of his arse being pounded, gets himself up, brushes himself off, and rubs hands of healing across his tough chiseled body. Tosh turns his attention to a bandit, but coughs up blood and fails his attack. Again, and for the final time, the bandit who made the first strike, hits Ronald with his sword, aiming between his armor, but making no cut. Bussin makes over to Da Boys and swings with his axe, but misses the bandit. Bussin pauses for a moment to lock eyes, and stare menacingly with a sick depravity at the bandits remaining. Craven moves over, seeing a bandit within his sight, but unfortunately missing with the eldritch flames passing by the bandits. One of the remaining bandits doesn't fare his chances of surviving, making a dash to escape this proud and mighty party of fearless heroes. Ronald, Bussin and Tush bearing down on the remain bitch boy. Loquacious picks up his club, and goes behind a bush, probably wonking. Ronald, tired of all the foreplay, raises his rippling muscular arms, clad in shining gold, and swings his long, girthy, almost meaty sword down, cutting the bandit in twine. Ronald, satisfied, brings his hands onto his broad chest and heals himself. Tosh, running full spirit towards the fleeing bandit, makes a swing and miss, a little poofed out. Bussin throws a hand axe, hits bandit in the bandit's back. Craven shoots bandit, destroying him.
Bussin's axe spins like a top, and drops to the ground, clean and untarnished. The dust settles. Such a mighty battle to start of this, I sure brilliant, wonderful, perhaps sexy, dare I say epic adventure. Ronald sheathes his blade, Craven makes over to pray for the fallen, and Bussin, ever the money-pinching lowlife, searches the remains. Loquacious goes over to the back of the cart, finding a cowering J.D. Lance, Ronald's squire. He asks if the little halfling is okay. J.D. checks to see if he's pissed himself at all, but all seems well. The loot comes to a total of 15 silver pieces each. Tosh, concerned for the whereabouts of old man Gil, looks in the bush he went to piss. He sees the piss, touches and gives it a taste. It's fresh, but Gil is nowhere to be found. Gil is gone. Oh well, says Ronald, not quick to be sentimental for any old fart. Tosh, suspicious, believing it a trap, but only a puddle remains and little other evidence. Ronald calls J.D. over. Help me get back on my horse, Ronald bellows. J.D. getting on all fours as Ronald uses him to step up onto the mighty stallion. Ronald pats his steed, all is well, trotting over to Loquacious, who is the back of the wagon, probably wanking again. Ronald asks if he can drive the cart the rest of their journey. Loquacious signs, going up to the knackered old donkey, patting it, which it seems to like, perhaps a little too much. Loquacious replies, I think I can, HMPF. Seating themselves, the party readies to make off. Tosh, seeing the little sad Kenku, extends a hand, gently patting him on the head. Craven, slightly concerned, tries not to lay an egg. Entering the village of Hamilton, they arrive at the local inn. A young boy, seeing the cart and donkey, runs over, shouting, Granddaddy, Granddaddy, have you returned? Instead of his familiar old Gil, jumps off an assortment of freaks, some cringy emo riding where his grandfather once sat. The young boy asks with bated breath, where's old Grandpa Gil? Tosh and Ronald, trying to give their attempts at subtle, tell the boy that he's gone. The boy bursts into tears, running inside the inn. Entering the inn, the group are approached by the innkeeper. A halfling man of his half-life greets them. Hello there, Travels, don't mind the poor boy, he just misses his old granddad Gil. saying it, "Didn't you just arrive on his cart? Where's the old bastard?" Ronald steps forward, introducing himself. The innkeeper, same as with old Gil before, is humbled by his presence, and honored to honest such a prestigious guest. Ronald makes an attempt to explain but is cut off by Tosh, who gives a more empathetic telling. The innkeeper is upset, but composes himself before his guests, calling old Gil a bastard again. He says he must have offered the party free rooms and lodging for the night. Taking the innkeeper up on such a splendid offer, Blaggett, the innkeeper, offers the party a free drink. Tosh and Bussin, the fucking Winios, take no second to ask for a bottle each. The innkeeper, looking at his wines, not cheap you know, reluctantly takes them down for them. Ronald, but a people person, loves the people, and the people love him, asks all but for a taste of the local ale. The innkeeper pours Ronald a flagon, which Ronald takes a mighty glug of. It doesn't taste the nicest, but he thanks the innkeeper all the same. Yes, the innkeeper insists it's all homemade, right in his danky little halfling cellar. The dirty fucker. The little boy brings the party food. Craven tries to eat soap with his beak. Settling in upstairs, the party make ready for the night. Tosh changing into his soft silk PJs, perfectly accentuating the curves of his rippling muscles. Craven makes a little nest. Ronald and JD lay in separate beds, nothing gay. Loquacious Cry winks himself to sleep. And Bussin, well, Bussin's naked. What will happen next time on The Boy Quest?